Now, Mendip District Council held a meeting last night to discuss how they might fund some of their projects in future. One of those ideas included crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is getting local residents to invest in projects which would enable the authority to work with local communities. So they could, for example, relate to the climate emergency or social deprivation. Councillor Barry O'Leary is Deputy Leader of the Council and the Portfolio Holder for Enterprise and Finance.
We have brought, Cabinet is the main decision-making body of any district council, and we have brought forward a paper that enables us to look ahead and innovate and fund in new ways, which includes crowdfunding and includes municipal bonds for the local area. So that's what the paper does. It unlocks that way of doing business and that way of reaching out to communities.
And why have you gone with crowdfunding?
Well, we are very dependent, like most local councils, on fixing our budget gap. We use the Public Works Loan Board, PWLB, but that is quite restrictive in what it looks and allows us to do. We are now looking at crowdfunding and municipal bonds and all sorts of other sort of ways of participating in the financial market so that we can do more things locally. So after COVID-19 has struck us, lots of people are thinking, how can they shop local, how can they live local, and how can they invest local? And that's what crowdfunding enables us to do, is to take some very hyper-local projects and allow people to invest and participate where they live. So obviously these are council projects, but we're partnering with local communities and we're moving away from the old council way of just investing in bricks and mortar.
So does this mean that the council doesn't have the money to do all the things it wants to do?
No council in the country at the moment has all the money that it needs to do the things it wants to do. Mendip is a new council in terms of a new administration who want to do and invest in a greener future, in a fairer future. And like all councils, because of the shake-up in local budgetary finance, we have a budget gap. It's an inherited budget gap. The Public Works Loan Board enables us to invest in some enterprising projects with regeneration, things like Saxonvale and Frome, as you will know. But we have to look at other ways of bringing in monies, but also bringing in people and ideas. And that's what the crowdfunding would do in this proposed model. We'll develop business cases. A good example of one, for example, is a men's shed that's actually happening in Surbiton. And that's been funded locally through crowdfunding. And we would look to do the same here in the Mendip area and in Somerset in general.
I suppose some people might say, well, I'm already paying council tax and now you're asking for more money. Is crowdfunding the right way to go?
Well, everybody pays taxes and we need to be able to see these taxes at work locally. And you are right that people will say, you're asking me to pay more money. No, we're asking you to work with your community. Again, it's something that people can do if that is their particular interest. We can have people aligned geographically or aligned by an actual cause or by clusters of communities. But it's not a mandatory thing. It does mean that if you have, for example, a particular interest in loneliness, you could actually crowdfund for a loneliness thing. If you have a particular interest in play areas, you could crowdfund for that. And if you have an interest in renewable energy and addressing climate change, we're looking at doing that too. So these are various ways and means. But the basic services that the council delivers will continue, of course, to be funded by your council tax. This is enabling us to look ahead, and this is enabling us to do more, because we all realise that after COVID we need to do more with our communities, and we need to do it in innovative and new ways.
So the basic services are still there, but if there's extra things you want, you're saying this is the way to go. And after the meeting last night, is this definitely going to go ahead?
Well, what the meeting has done is enable and unlock that. So officers are working hard, building business cases. How a council works is it builds a business case, says, this is what we want to do. Can we do that? What last night enabled the officers was to have access to those sets of tools. And now individual projects using these innovative financial means will come forward. I mean, we already do this as communities anyway. We all have a local shop we support. Many communities have bought out their local shop to make sure it's viable. And crowdfunding our municipal bond could do that. And we know after COVID we need to shop locally, live locally. And this is about effectively what I would call a civic shareholding. So you own a bit of your community and you put back in. And I think all of us want to work together and put things back into where we live.
That's Councillor Barry O'Leary there from Mendip District Council. Thank you very much to him. Going to play